We typically do. I'm going to go ahead and do an informal roll call, starting first with our appointees. From screen names, I believe we have the following present. Again, from the appointee list, myself, Nancy Hines, Chief Recovery Officer. I can see Mrs. Sonia Coleman sitting here beside me. So I know that she is here as well. Heather Johnson, representing the principals. Scott Reed, Business Office Official. Dr. Katie Stenger, welcome from the AIU. Dr. Melissa Garvin, our charter school representative, Ms. Tyra Grant, a resident appointee, and representing the teachers of Sto-Rox School District, Ms. Maria Kotek. Anybody else from the list of appointees that I might have missed? All right, also want to recognize that Martha Hoover is joining us here today. Her role at Sto-Rox is Administrative Coordinator, School Board Secretary, and she's been assisting with emails back and forth to the group, tech support during the meetings and so forth. Much appreciated. Also from our PDE assigned technical support team, I believe we have from PFM, Researchers Analyst, Stephen Ramirez. Thank you for joining us. I don't see Hannah, and I don't see anybody from Wessel and Company Business Office Support. Is that correct?
I'm here, just off camera.
Oh, okay, Hannah, thank you. Any community member or listener who wants to identify themselves as a guest today? As a reminder, we are on site. This is a public meeting. Yes, it is being live streamed, and it will be archived, posted to the website. There's also an opportunity to join in person in the district superintendent's office. All right, so we're going to jump right into the agenda. We're going to start with old business, if you will, topics revisited. Specific to SASI, Supporting America's School Infrastructure Grant Program, there has been no change. But I do feel obligated, and I want to make sure that I continue to post this as an agenda item. We do expect during this upcoming summer vacation that we will have a team of engineers provided by the Department of Education to come on site. We've talked in the past about Sto-Rox School District's focus will be on the junior senior high school, the oldest building and the one in most need of capital repairs. The last communication received regarding this initiative was in November 24th. We have an update regarding DCED. As we know, there was a December 2025 grant application that was available to school districts. Most recently, since our last meeting, the district was provided with some pivot options, and that was provided by a DCED representative on April 3rd. There was conversation between that representative and Zach Simpson here, the Director of Buildings and Grounds, specific to application guidelines. Apparently, if you apply for emergency repair funding, that there are certain caveats to that, and minimum $500,000 in spending was my understanding from Zach, and also that you couldn't apply for additional funding for the same particular building if you opted to go that route. The district consulted here among district leaders, and it was made, the decision was made to go ahead and pull the emergency plumbing repairs that were valued at about $329,000. Those started in December. There was a board resolution at the time. 2 FID days were implemented, and the district was scrambling with a reputable contractor to get those repairs started. They are occurring in multiple phases. The most urgent have been completed, but the work will continue through the summer. So again, the district is pulling that, has pulled that from the DCED application consideration, and we'll have to cover those repairs 100%. Is there anybody among us today, an appointee, a guest, anybody who wants to make any comments about that category of old business or anything new and different under the category of old business? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on then to new topics for consideration. I thought this was some pretty good data. As part of the Chief Recovery monthly reports, I have to comment on enrollment. So generally, I have various go-to people here at the district who provide updated figures for me. And I like numbers, so I'm often looking back and forth to see, is the trend different? Is it positive? And of course, the glass has to be half full. I get really excited when I hear Mrs. Coleman often say that. That is my verbiage as well. It was when I was a superintendent, that you can't be bleak. You can't have a bleak outlook. You always have to look for those opportunities. And I think Sto-Rox has moved into a very good position to qualify in the near future for exit and moving into monitoring. So fingers crossed on that, going to continue to make good decisions. And it is good to celebrate. It's necessary to celebrate some positive, good news. So when you look at the numbers that I provided here in the agenda, you can see that when we compare March 2026 figures, enrollment figures, with March 2025, you can see the net difference. So the high school, junior, senior high school, I should say, grades 7 to 12, marked in red. When you compare from last year, up 26 students, the enrollment is up. And then overall, that has carried a net surplus, if you will, or increase for the overall district enrollment. It was 918 last check in April. In March, and that's up 22 from the previous March 2025. Now, I did take a look at April's numbers. I'm reporting those. That'll go to a report that is sent to the Secretary of Education at the end of each month. It's also posted on the website. We've talked about that before. That's my assessment or my opportunity to share updates directly with Harrisburg. And for April, more specifically, when I break it down by school, I did not put this on the agenda, but I have some handwritten notes here. The primary school for April 2026 is compared to March 2026. It was down 2 students. Last enrollment check was 309. For the upper elementary grades 4 to 6, it was the enrollment was 209, so that's up 3 students from last month. The junior senior high school was at 423. And that is down from that 9 that I referenced as a surplus or an increase. And then overall, as of April, 932 for district enrollment. So when we left March 2026, the district was up by 22 students as compared to March 2025. Lost a little bit on that, but still up 14. Any comments on that? I think that is really, really good news. It's one of the main themes in financial recovery, whether you're talking about the original plan or the amended one that came out in September of last school year, or this school year, I guess I should say. Keeping students in the seat is really, really key to having sufficient dollars to run the district's operations. 2 principals joining us today. Is there any remark that you want to make about that? Heather, especially, you're seeing a positive increase there.
Not really. I mean, I think that's good news. You know, we're trying to get students back here. We upped, and you'll see in my presentation, like that parent engagement, that welcoming feeling. So numbers are showing it's working.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so I'll jump back to the agenda. This is relevant to enrollment as well. As of March 2026, cyber charter enrollment remained at 114. However, brick and mortar charter enrollment dropped by 11 students and was reported at 616. So we are seeing some shifts. I think maybe some families are considering all of their options available to them. And perhaps the district is having success countering some of the negative rhetoric that is out there about the district. We're all aware of it, but it seems to be changing. Dynamic administrative team in place. There's a lot of positive things happening here. And as I said, people are aware of that, it seems. I could ask Mrs. Coleman if she wouldn't mind talking a little bit off the cuff. I gave some talking points here in the agenda, but we are expecting some very positive changes for next year, specific to Virtual Vikings, and that is the district's cyber program.
Okay, so one of the things we did this year was really look at programming and what's working. And we realized our cyber program, our Virtual Vikings program, was not yielding a high level of success for students. And part of that was due to our own fault in the setup. And so really look for opportunities for programs that are doing it well within their district. And Seneca Valley has an amazing virtual program that we're going to partner with them, because there are actual on-site teachers that actually will log in with the kids to assist with anything that they may need in terms of help. So that when parents are choosing to go virtual, that they're having the same success they would have if they showed up here on our campus every day. We also are putting into place some additional metrics and measures to ensure student success before allowing a student just to go virtual Vikings, it should be no different than if they were on campus. The expectations don't change. And so, ask me again this time next year, and we should have some success stories out of it. Coupled with that, this week, one session tomorrow and one on Tuesday, we're doing charter and cyber charter family meetings, and I'm calling it Let's Talk. So, in an opportunity to find out why are they choosing to go somewhere else, and I have a couple activities that I'm going to do with them and try and convince some of our parents to give us a chance, because oftentimes if we never hear why they're choosing to leave, we don't know if we're even able to mitigate some of their concerns, or are some of their concerns not facts. And so hoping to at least every year increase the number of students that we get back from cyber and from regular brick and mortar charter schools. And so one is happening actually tomorrow at 5:30, and the other one is Tuesday, and it's going to be done virtual. So giving folks an opportunity to either come on campus or join us virtual.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think we would all agree as having, as individuals who have some relationship with students, whether it's our own children or we've worked formally in an education system, understand that virtual learning is not for everybody. And I applaud Mrs. Coleman and the team for trying to vet students and families who are interested in virtual learning before they're just automatically registered. As she noted, there was evidence that most of the students were not having success. So that would tell us that that's not a good fit for them. Now, can they have success with additional support, or is their learning style, their need for structure just different, and it lends itself to being more successful, or likely to be more successful in a brick and mortar setting? So that's all important information. Okay, let me ask, is there anybody here who would like to talk about anything specific to the new business items I shared, or something different that you view as new business? Okay, before I talk about the upcoming presenter schedule and have our current presenters present, I want to ask Scott Reed, who's with us today, if he could just kindly give us a verbal update about budget development for the 26-27 school year. Any key points, takeaways that you would like to share with this particular group?
Thank you. Just a quick update. We're working very diligently with our 26-27 budget, working closely with what we're calling here our budget managers, so all our department heads, on what our needs are for next school year. And with working that and working with our revenue estimates, I will present with approval with the superintendent for the May 21st board our balanced budget, and we anticipate that with that the recommendation for tax increase will be no more than 1 mil at the most, but obviously the goal is to be under that if we can.
I appreciate that update. And as a Financial Recovery Advisory Committee, we all need to be mindful of financial recovery plan language, again, whether it's the original plan from 2022 or the amended one from September 2025, that if the school district is opting to raise taxes less than the index, the chief recovery officer has to endorse that. And so I'm well aware what's going on here in terms of budget development. Scott keeps me posted. I'm attending meetings. I'm privy to some of the behind the scenes information, and I feel confident that what he just said is going to be an accurate depiction of where we are, what the challenges are, and I will be prepared to endorse whatever his final recommendation to the board might be. Any questions on budget? Okay, so before our presenters, Dr. Lisa Mumau and Ms. Heather Johnson present, I'd like to just go over quickly the schedule that we have for the remaining Financial Recovery Advisory Committee meetings in this cycle. So for May 27th, I'm going to make an adjustment, although it does say junior, senior high school annual update, preview of anticipated new initiatives. I don't really feel that is fair to put that on the acting principal. He's not had exposure and have that. I'm going to hope that Mrs. Coleman instead, when she presents to us June 24th, she'll put a little bit of information specific to junior, senior high school in that particular presentation. Would that be okay, Mrs. Coleman?
That would be fine.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Then May 27 will be reserved for Scott to go over in more detailed fashion what's going on within that 26-27 proposed final budget. As he indicated, it will go on public display as of May 21st, pending board approval to go ahead and do that. So I think this committee in particular, given the nature of the committee, the purpose of the committee, we want to have an extensive conversation about that. And again, Sonia will give us some updates about, from her perspective, year in the review. This is her first year here at the district. My assessment is that she's done very, very well. I know that wouldn't be good enough for her, and I'm sure she'll have data where she's going to go through to back up the remarks that I just made as an introduction. And then July 29th, I'm going to speak directly to this particular committee about the components of financial recovery, where I think the district is in terms of demonstrating evidence, having proof that the district is moving in a positive direction, has grown sufficiently that perhaps in 2 more years that the district would be eligible for exit from financial recovery. And that comes from Harrisburg. The Secretary of Education has to make that determination. And certainly the Chief Recovery Officer, as boots on the ground, feeds information, data to support consideration of exit when it's appropriate. And I think truly this could be year 1. The data look really, really good. The district is moving in a positive direction. Again, I'll back that up with some data. Also, I'll present similar information to the board probably in August. I don't think we have a board meeting scheduled for July at this point. So that would be August for the board. All right, any final questions or remarks before we switch gears and turn it over to our principals, starting with Dr. Lisa Mumau. Okay, thank you.
Hey everyone, good evening. Thank you for joining us. My presentation at Sto-Rox Primary Center really connects to our why, our way forward year in review. I chose some music, Best Day of My Life lyrics. I'll spare all of you that song, but I really want to focus on my 3rd grade teachers. It really was a call to learning in action. Our superintendent at our kickoff challenged all of us by choice to get up and get to know one another, become acclimated. Our 3rd grade teachers did a really nice job in that middle picture and on the left picture of mixing all 3 classes, getting to know one another, asking questions, having icebreakers. So I really wanted to showcase their work and their continuous learning. Our second slide just demonstrates the staff that we had in May 2025 at our end of the year PBIS assembly, and just a group picture that we took in April 2026, showing gratitude and alignment. I've had the majority of our staff stay, and they've been supported to our district mission and vision, and then our 4 pillars that we believe that are going to lead to student growth. Our next slide is a collage of some of our initiatives. Our top left-hand corner would be my assistant principal with our students. We've been celebrating monthly attendance improvement and monthly attendance awards. And then to the right is a new initiative. We have our Students of the Month. Students are recommended based off of teacher recommendation through our school counselor to be the Viking of the Month. We've had 168 students year to date recognized, so we're so proud of that. Something I'm proud of with my team would be our center picture, our virtual learning that we had the last week in January. We did an SRPC lunch bunch. We had students logging in between the hours of 12 and 1 with their families, upper elementary, junior, senior high school students, just connecting with our teachers, with our staff, letting us know how their at-home learning was going. So we were very pleased with that. Our left-hand picture, bottom left-hand corner, showcases Mrs. Jennifer Corbel, our reading specialist, really working with Tier 2 and Tier 3 strategies as part of our intervention programming. Then picture to the right would be our kickoff for kindergarten registration and all things enrollment. We had a really nice turnout in March of this year. Our second kindergarten enrollment registration event will be about in 1 week, next Thursday down here at the junior senior high school. And then just a fun picture of myself with several of our students on an outside safety committee playground and action PBIS review for recess values. Our SRPC values tie into our district mission and vision and our core beliefs on the next 2 slides. And then when we identified as a team, last year we looked at our 4 pillars of who we are at SRPC and how those 4 pillars relate to our overall mission and vision and for the school district. So we identified school culture and school climate, student achievement and student growth, positive behavior interventions and supports, along with social emotional learning for pillar 3, and then pillar 4, professional development and professional growth. The picture on that slide is pretty impactful to me. We were able, through our master scheduling process, to allow our school counselor and our special subject teachers to really help support kindergarten intervention and enrichment period. So that's Miss Onishka with one of our kindergarten teachers working in our Lexia program, and then another slide will show some more additional small group support. We identified our way forward, understanding school culture and climate as the culture, our expectations of identity and our values, kind of our norms and our beliefs, building positive relationships with students, staff, and family, allowing our building to be very welcoming. We identified climate as our vibe. We want our students, staff, families, and our community to really feel that sense of physical and emotional safety, that sense of belonging, so we can be exclusive, our inclusivity, and have an equity lens. When we look at some of our action steps that connect to our school culture and climate, I am so proud that we were able to work with our current Director of Student Services to create an alignment of additional special education classrooms to support the growing changes and needs of our students. Showcasing and highlighting our Student of the Month, focusing our Viking values of being kind, capable, and in control. We really worked from last year to this year within PBIS to set that prioritized time for the morning meetings. K-3, all students are receiving PBIS SEL through First 5 and any type of classroom meetings that may arise based off of connection, conversation, things that happened maybe before the day even started. All classrooms last year received the reset spaces based off of a grant we received from WQED, giving teachers and students an opportunity to try to really work through any classroom issue or preliminary behavioral reset that may need to happen in the classroom prior to being referred outside of the classroom. Hence, you'll see our buddy teacher model. If student is struggling maybe with in their homeroom, they may be able to go right across the hall and be in that calming reset space with another teacher that they also have a connection with to really become regulated. We really focused this year for culture and climate, looking at ways we can reduce hall transition. This is a focus on one of our kindergarten classrooms, Mrs. Hudak. When students are in a classroom bathroom break, they are reviewing their sight words for their reading unit. As you can see, Mrs. Hudak, she's showing the student their sight word, they're saying it, and then they're clapping it. So I've been very proud of our kindergarten and first grade teachers for utilizing that method and model. Some other deliverables and evidence of our climate and culture. I am so proud of our leadership and voice within our Viking leaders, Miss Lorette and Pax. They've done a phenomenal job elevating student voice at the SRPC for students to be volunteering as school ambassadors when we have school and community events, and also passing out our Viking bags, like our blessing bags for students and families in need over the weekend. We've had excellent implementation and support from our families and our community from our implementation of Class Dojo. It's an educational platform that we're able to communicate with our families in a quick message, upload a picture, and post on our story relevant facts and updates in classrooms and in our school. We've had a variety of SRPC school celebrations and programs. We kicked off for the first time in a while our Veterans Day program, supported and headed by Mr. Bill McClintock and all of our teachers. All students celebrated and were able to sing a song. We invited our veterans. We had community resources and supports. It was a really outstanding event. Something that we'll be able to talk more about would be the finalization of the process of our makerspace room in 1A of our building. We talked about our additional spring kindergarten and enrollment dates. We've had one that was in March. The other one will be just in a week. And And then we're excited that we partnered with Ms. Johnson and the UE team for our grade 3 step up, bump up day. We're very excited to get our 3rd grade students and their families acclimated to the house system, the procedures, routines, and all things upper elementary. I know our students are already talking, Ms. Johnson, about all the additional condiments, the hot sauce, some of the fun things that are offered when they graduate the 4th grade. So thank you and your team for making that a special experience. When we look at our second pillar for student success, we really looked at student achievement and growth, understanding the achievement where students are at a specific time, and growth with educational teaching and improvement where our students going to be, really recognizing that we need an equity model for students, and it has to be meaningful, value-added progress. And some of our evidence deliverables would be our instructional framework. We were able to really work together with our superintendent and admin to really support teacher instruction, pedagogy, and process through our GRR framework and our learning tours. We are in the preliminary process of creating a K-3 MTSS model at our primary center. Really what that looks like, we have tier 1 instruction, focus on small group instruction within that tiered instruction, and developing time within our special subject itinerant teachers and our school counselor schedule, the push in primarily K1 and 2nd grade to help support intervention, allowing students that confidence to log into Lexia and Alex, our intervention and enrichment programs, and to review skills as needed with them. We focused a lot this year on grade level data team meetings, primarily the midpoint of the 9 weeks and the end of the 9 weeks, and really our personalized learning student platforms with intervention and enrichment, Lexia, Core 5, and Alex. All students have that exposure and that support to rebuild and unpack maybe some of those missed standards and some of those instructional gaps that we've been able to identify. I'm very proud of our kindergarten and 1st grade teachers for implementing UFly. Across the board, we're really seeing a lot of great gains. It was a pretty easy lift within our Wonders curricula that we have to really replace and support some of those preliminary reading skills. We've developed differentiated professional learning, really as that focus has been based off of our CSI plan, PBIS, small group instruction that really connects to our GRR instructional model and MTSS. Really having some additional training and getting our teachers and our students up to date with all things STEEL standards, curricula development under the direction of Mr. Paul and our teachers. They've done a phenomenal job. We've had additional time through our Director of Student Services for special education meetings and collaborations, just not on like a district special ed level, but also on a building level special ed, regular ed collaboration. And I'm proud to talk about some of our data with our NWEA MAPS benchmark from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. If you look at our first chart, we were really able to focus on our MAP growth from fall to winter. The chart shows the growth between fall and winter months. So from September through January, September 2025 to January 2026. I'm so proud of all of our students and our staff. 64% of all K-3 students showed growth between fall and winter. You can look at the colors, yellow, green, blue, are the students that showed growth on our top bar scale. And to support that, our reading growth from fall to winter also increased. 60% of all K-3 students showed growth in reading between September and January. That would be denoted in the yellow, green, and blue colors. We're so excited. In about 3 to 4 weeks, we'll have our end of the year MAPS assessment. So I'm so excited to see what those results are going to be. Our third pillar for how we're moving forward to support all students would be our PBIS and SEL programs, positive behavior interventions and supports. Behavior can be taught and supported. And then our social emotional learning, we're really focusing this year on that self-awareness and that emotional regulation through various methods and techniques. And I'll be able to unpack those a little more. On this slide, we really focused on our PBIS classroom lessons. We worked extensively with our AIU TAC consultants on PBIS, Mr. Librillo, our PBIS team, to update our PBIS lesson handbook to really focus on kind, capable, and in control. Through our partnership with the AIU and Lydia Richardson, we were able to update all of our PBIS signs throughout Sto-Rox Primary Center and place those signs on district buses. We've been intentionally teaching, as funny as this may seem, go flush wash to our students when they're utilizing that unstructured time in the restroom, because so many of our students were in the restroom and they wouldn't return to class. So we really wanted to make that intentional. So all teachers have been teaching that. Mr. Librillo and I have been holding monthly PBIS bus meetings in the cafeteria. We're also working with our director of transportation and our bus manager at ABC to hold a bus meeting at Sto-Rox Primary Center in May to review those expectations and really do some fun giveaways for our students. Mr. Librillo has created a nice PBIS monthly newsletter and incentive tracker for all of our teachers, whether they're in PBIS or not, to really see what are our incentives, what are our PBIS referral data, and what are some tips for all classroom teachers to help support positive behaviors. And as you can see, we have one of our youngest learners with our Viking shields. Last year, we gave shields to everyone in our building, not really taking into account the relationships of bus drivers, our cafeteria staff, paraeducators, our custodians. Even our director of facilities and maintenance has Viking shields of honor that he can pass out when they're in our building, really creating that culture and that climate that all Sto-Rox teachers, staff, administration can really support our youngest Vikings with positive behavior choices. When we're looking at PBIS and social emotional learning, we really wanted to take a restorative approach at the primary center. We were able, through restorative practice training, myself and our school counselor attended training last summer, fall into spring, with restorative conversations. What are those affective statements? How are we able to help support classroom teachers and staff when students become dysregulated before it would escalate beyond anything that would require security? So I've been very happy, and our Swiss data shows that we have a decrease year to date in behavioral referrals. Also focusing on social emotional learning, those reset spaces, really teaching our students what they need when they're feeling a little out of place, or as a kindergarten student said recently, that icky feeling, like a fidget kit within each classroom, when students just need to get up, take a deep breath, they're moving around, and then we want them to be able to reset so they can rejoin instruction. We talked about the buddy system. All classrooms use the term school bus. If we have a student that becomes dysregulated, we're keeping that student and safe staff members together in that classroom and allowing that those other students to join their buddy teacher so instruction can still take place. We discussed the PBIS newsletter, and we have exciting PBIS monthly student incentives that we're offering. Like today, it was supposed to be Chalk the Walk. I was so proud of all of our teachers. They use that art butcher block paper, and we chalked that inside hallways. And then students were able to enjoy their chips in the classroom because the weather did not cooperate with us. So this picture is one of our PBIS focus groups. We looked at some of our data with Dr. Pope through CSI, and these are a group of third grade students that volunteered with parent permission to really help guide some of our programs. And one of the things that they wanted to see, maybe related to PBIS, but they are so enamored with the hot sauce that is available at the upper elementary from older siblings and cousins. They asked me if my friend was a principal at the upper elementary, if we could borrow some hot sauce. So I said, that's something that we'll look forward to when we're at the upper. So out of the mouth of the little ones, you know, they really appreciate that stuff. And how do we really, you know, support GRR and our professional growth and development, giving teachers what they need when they need it? We looked at professional development and truly professional growth, making it a structured process with structured goals based off of CSI, our financial recovery plan, and our district comprehensive plan, really looking at my teachers and my staff, what they need based off of skill, knowledge, their ability, kind of that growth mindset that we want to all move forward to enhance together, goal setting, and really a model of collaboration. When we look at some of those deliverables, we're focusing on personalized learning, a choice-based PLC menu that includes school improvement, coaching, mentoring, teacher-led PLC discussions. We really have done a nice job with our teachers embracing Lexia and Alex. We've had some teacher leaders really lead some conversations with our Lexia Core 5, which would be reading intervention and enrichment, ways that we can celebrate and acknowledge students with Lexia certificates. So I've been proud of my teachers for really working together to have that up and running. Of course, looking at data analysis, looking at our formative and summative measures, and how are those measures really assessing what we're doing in the classroom, and how can we pivot when we know that students may need something more or something less. PBIS strategies, we've spent a considerable amount of time in team level meetings and in district meetings with Mr. Paul with curricula development, looking at small group instructional design. That really has to be our focus as we end the year and as we pivot for the 26-27 school year with Tier 1 instruction, really defining and aligning special education supports. This year, I'm proud to report that within our master schedule, we do have alignment within grade levels in special education. We do have some situations where we will be hand scheduling students, but we want to be able to include all students within reading and math and giving them what they need. Mr. Liprillo and I have really focused on our new teachers this year, giving those teachers some targeted support. We have meetings set up on Fridays just to check in, to be able to touch base with them, whether it's formal or informal. We want them to know that we're here, to build relationships and to give them an opportunity to kind of share their voice in a smaller setting, more personalized. And then I started my presentation talking about climate and culture, but I've been so proud of our regular ed and our special education teachers, not only having department level meetings, but having grade level meetings, really talking about our shared students, what they need, and being able to collaborate with one another and collaborate with families when we're looking at our planning for academic growth. Some of our continued deliverables would be our SAP and MTSS program and plans. We are, stay tuned, I'll be excited to report next year MTSS is going to be up and running with the help of some of our friends from our CSI committee and community, so I'll be able to report updates on that. We've implemented Scholastic News K-3 to help support the social studies standards. We did a pilot of Open Sci Ed in our building. Some mixed reviews. We've been working with Mr. Paul, looking at some opportunities to really support the work within the skills standards, some things potentially we have in place to augment, but really aligning to the standards through STEAM, through STEM, and through a resource. As I stated, our team has done a great job with like a curricula review and audit. We are in the process of looking at some new math series. What is that math pilot going to look like potentially, with some additional resources, giving teachers that agency and that voice to be able to communicate, whether it could be a few lessons and or a unit coming back together with Mr. Paul to be able to share, some of the things that are really being noted by teachers as we support the standards. Our commitment to restorative practice, training and theory with our faculty. And finally, as I wrap up, I talked about those deliverables. As we move forward to the 26-27 school year, we're really excited to have the district support this year for piloting some additional math resources and supports. We've noticed, I talked about this last year, K-3, when we look at number sense and ways we can kind of support that skill for all of our learners, looking at some updated resources. Our cursive writing initiative, 2nd and 3rd grade, it's embedded within the Wonders curricula. They are doing a really nice job with Wonders. There's a training that some of our 2nd grade teachers and 3rd grade teachers are going to attend at the AIU in October to look at that process and embed what we're doing within Wonders to some of those additional resources that will be shared. We are going through the implementation check for PBIS Tier 1, so we're hopeful that we'll have some exciting news after the end of the school year to report. We'll be looking at an implementation of some Tier 2 PBIS interventions and strategies. And I end all of you, this is and currently was the process of our Makerspace grant. So this is a collaborative, very colorful learning environment that our students are going to have access to. We were hoping to really open it up in March, but with some of the ordering and some of the supplies and training, we're gonna have some training next month in PLC. So our STEAM teacher, Mr. Labrillo, have really taken the lead and done an excellent job with our Makerspace. Are there any questions or comments about anything that I've shared?
Well, let me say you've shared evidence that there is positive activity here, positive movement, and we look forward to improved data across the board. And it is really nice, I said this to the board most recently in one of our conversations, that it's really nice to see education being a focus. Financially, the district is much more stable, and to see revisiting of education, those are the priorities and so forth, and that's the way it should be in any school district, right? So thank you, Lisa. We're going to move on to Heather Johnson. She's going to give us an update from the upper elementary school.
Give me 1 second to get it up. Chrome tab. All right, so I start off the presentation with the district mission, core beliefs, and academic priorities, because in all of the planning that we have done for the 25-26 school year, as well as the 26-27 school year, we kept those three things in mind. So last year when I presented here to the board as well as the advisory committee, I put out these goals, which we worked on all year long. I can tell you we had accomplished all of them. A couple of the highlights of them we're going to go through with some pictures that I have. In July, myself and 9 of the staff members attended the Ron Clark Academy, which I got scholarships for. All 10 of us had went through the Huntington Ignite the Classroom programs. So these are just some of the highlights. Some key takeaways of this July professional development that we had gone on for 3 days was that student engagement, bringing that culture, that positivity back to our building, and just making each 9 weeks, all of the staff had put 1% goals of how could I improve my classroom by 1%? Because when you're looking at just 1%, that seems doable than to put all of these different things in place. So these are just a couple of the pictures from there. So then I had the teachers put a statement of what did RCA bring to you here at the upper elementary, and how did it help your classroom and student growth for this year. So these are just a couple of the statements of the staff and a couple of the pictures that they had added to from their classroom or events. In one of my walkthroughs, the bottom picture in the corner is getting the students involved in their learning. So right here, this student is teaching the class how to solve that math problem. And she is actually solving as well as questioning the other students in the classroom of what do I do next, being the teacher up front so that she is taking part in that math lesson. That's just one of the highlights. Another thing the team learned is about getting donors to support our house program. So they worked hard. 3 of the staff members that went had come back. sent out over 200 letters to local businesses asking for support. These are some of them that they have received for this year to kick off our house celebration meetings and celebrations throughout the year. These are just a couple of the things. Our Christmas at SRUE. This is what a house meeting looks like. We meet once a month in our houses and we go over the core values of the house. I am in Isabindi and we are the House of Courage. So everything that we worked on dealt with courage and getting that message out to students. Each of the houses have different messages. These are some of the celebrations. You could see in the bottom left corner, the house with the most points halfway through the year. Doughboys had donated pizzas. Pierogies Plus donated money to get other items for the celebration for the Amistad House was the leader. At the end of the year, we have Cookie Ice Cream that is going to donate a ice cream party for the winning house points for the year. We one of the things that we had in our goals was mystery readers. These are a couple of the mystery readers. This was November's, where we invited the board members to come be mystery readers for the students. They read to the classrooms the book of their choice. The goal of this was to instill that love of reading. Another major thing was Citizens Bank donated $10,000 for new instruments to provide the arts here at the upper elementary. So this is the unveiling of the new instruments that the students got. Our snowball dance. Special persons luncheon was, we do surveys when we have the parents come here to the building, and it's a quick, 2-question survey. So we asked, what family engagement events would you like to see? One of the parents recommended special person lunch or breakfast. So we had that this year. And one of the key points that I want to point out to this is everybody in these pictures had smiles on their face. Parents, students were so happy at this event. And one of the biggest takeaways was they got to be together. They got to see them in their school setting. So they had a great time with this event. We had JA Day here. Citizens Bank has been partnering with us. You saw the instrument donation. They then requested through JA to come here and do the JA lessons with the students. These are a couple of the 6th grade when they were creating their businesses. We had 2 Black History celebrations this year. We had guests from the community as well as the district and alumni. So these are a couple of the pictures of those events. And then we finished it up with a big celebration where we invited parents at the end. This is some of the staff spirit we had this year. A couple weeks ago, Miss Smith, our STEAM teacher, took our students to the AIU for the STEAM competition, so they competed in that event. And as I go into next year's goals, I leave you with this. This is something that we started this year. Our focus for the 26-27 school year is student voice. And this is just a piece of what we started this year. With the MAP data, we have them tracking their own data. Next year, we're going to, when we have the parent-teacher conferences, when we have data and donuts, the students are actually going to explain, show their charts, shows what it means, because they're taking more of an active part in that. So just a couple, I have this broken up into 3 parts: attendance, academics, and PBIS. So to start off, here is our attendance. Here is a 5-year look at our attendance. And keep in mind that 25, 26, we still have another month. We're hoping to get to that 90% mark, but that is our goal. These are some of the incentives that we have done this year. A real favorite of the students was build your own tacos and the decorate your own Stanley Cup. So for next year, we set the goal of keeping that 90% or higher, because we still did not make that. But we also added in, we're really going to focus on that chronic absenteeism and that student that is missing a lot of school, and looking at what we can do to support those students. We are going to look at a couple different things. We're going to build that culture where attendance matters. Next year, we're going to start off with Everyday Matters. We miss you when you're not here. Another thing is in the morning announcements, we are going to add a section where we are celebrating those students that are coming and putting their names in there for celebrations. We're also going to incorporate in our daily morning circles more activities that deal with attendance mattering and why it is important for students to be here each day. We still are going to continue the incentives. One of the things that we are going to look at more as that improvement and not always just that perfect attendance. As I stated before, we're going to do those weekly shout outs. We're also going to look at launching attendance challenges throughout the building. And another positive piece we are adding is sending positive attendance messages to the families through postcards or emails, or that positive phone call home. And the third thing that the team is going to look at is the barriers. What is, they're really going to track those trends in the data of the days of week. Is it specific times? And we're also going to survey the parents and the students about those barriers. The third piece is the PBIS piece. So at the upper elementary, we look at the 3 expectations of being safe, respectful, and responsible. We received our fidelity in tiers 1, 2, and 3. We sustained that. We had our fidelity check about 3 weeks ago, and we did receive news that we did sustain that fidelity. So we're very excited and proud about that. So as I had said before, we had launched our houses, the 4 houses, 1 family. These are our 4 houses. And this just tells you a little bit about the house program. We look at, we combined the 2, the PBIS as well as the house system. This year, we only focused on students receiving points for being safe, respectful, and responsible. Next year, we're going to throw in some twists to that. These are the house meetings. House meetings, I talked about in those pictures before, are a way for those those students to connect across the grade levels, build those relationships, and participate in team building activities. And this is to strengthen that house community. Oops. The celebrations are where we celebrate what happened for that month. We celebrate the achievements, the positive contributions, and then we build school spirit through music, games, and shared traditions. These were our first year goals. In our second year, we're looking at 3 different areas. We're looking to, as I said before, student voice. We're looking for that student ownership. We started in January our student leadership group, leadership and representatives. So we're going to expand on that next year. We're also going to expand and refine the house points. We're going to add that academic effort. We're going to add teamwork, attendance, and responsibility to those points. We're going to look at improving communication and engagement through our digital platforms and visual displays throughout the building. This is a look at our 4-year data. You can see in the 22-23 school year, that is right when we added that Just Discipline program, that restorative practice piece. And you can see the trend of us going down. This year, I can tell you, we are going up. And we had lost that Just Discipline program, and we do not have that coordinator. That's one of our main focuses for next year, is getting the bodies to bring that restorative piece back to the upper elementary. So these are some of the focuses of what we're going to look at. We're going to look at, making sure that we refresh. We're going to look at more healing circles, welcoming circles, adding that back in for the next year. One of our goals is to reduce the office referrals by 25% through consistent implementation of our SEL, PBIS, and restorative practices. Moving on to the academics. You can see our scores from this year at the bottom and last year at the top. Now, I will tell you, this really isn't a good comparison, because last year when I did the presentation, we did have our end of the year results done. These are from mid-year at the bottom. So we're expecting to see more growth like we did last year when we get our May results. Same thing for math. Our goal for next year, by the end of 26-27, will increase student proficiency in reading and math across the 3 grade levels, as measured by our PSSA, MAP, and Firefly assessments. We're going to continue working on strengthening that Tier 1 and our assessment work. We're also going to continue taking that deeper dive into the data and instructional practices. So these are just some of the things that we're really going to be intentional about next year, expanding on. Talking the parent engagement piece, we are going to look at bringing back the couple of events that, parents had expressed they really liked: the Data and Donuts celebrations of learning, as well as the special person. New events that we're bringing for next year to really focus in on our house system. We are going to host for our open house the house block party, which will be out front and be a big celebration to kick off the school year. The other thing that we want to add to our title events is parent workshops: how to help your child with homework, student-led data and donuts, more of that student focus. Also, parent-teacher conferences, and one last one is the house family bingo night. And then finally, parent survey at the start and end of the year. How are we doing? What could we do differently? These are still, we have a busy month ahead of us. These are still some of the events coming up. And I had touched on each of these, but these are our goals for the 26-27 school year. Any questions or comments?
Well, you know I'm going to make comments. So I scribbled a couple of things from listening to you and looking at your slides. I want to recognize your attention to student voice. A lot of times that is overlooked, and it is so important. Combining that with root cause analysis, as you suggested, not looking at current status, but digging in deeper to find out why aren't students performing, why aren't students coming to school. I mean, really, a school district, a school system is spinning its wheels if you don't consider student voice and the root cause analysis. So again, I applaud you for that. And also recognizing growth. You know, one of the negative features of mandated state assessments, let's say, is that there's a mark. You know, you hit a proficiency mark or you do not. And I think, like you, that it's really, really important to encourage students, especially those who have demonstrated growth. So thank you for that. Anybody else? See, Leanna Lawson put a note in there. Welcome, Leanna. And she says, thank you for your presentation. Anybody else? Okay, just let me reiterate for a quick second, if I might. Our next meeting, May 27th, we'll expect an update from Scott regarding the 26-27 district budget, which will then at that time be on public display. There are no further questions. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and I thank you all for your time. Please take care. Oh, Melissa, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. I was trying to get my thing. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to formally let everybody know this is my, sorry, I've been testing all day with kids, so I look like I'm like sweating Betty. So I just want to say today's my last meeting. I'm officially retiring. June 1st is my last day. Sorry, Leanne, I beat you to the finish line. But yeah, so I'm retiring June 1st. And I have to say, when I was first asked to be on this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the elephant in the room as the charter school rep. And I was like, oh, I mean, I remember going into that first meeting, I was like, yep, hi, I'm the elephant in the room. And that's literally how I introduced myself. But I just want to say I've learned so much. I follow Sto-Rox on social media and just seeing everything. And, you know, being at Propel, I know how hard it is. And we're all facing the same things. But I get really excited to see the initiatives you guys have. And we also went to 2 years ago, the Ron Clark, and we have the houses and a lot of those similar things, and have seen growth by adding those support services, interventions, etc. Here at Propel. But I just really want to say I've really enjoyed this. I've learned a lot. And I don't feel like the elephant in the room anymore. But thank you for the opportunity and, you know, the learning experience. And I'll continue to follow Sto-Rox on social media.
Well, I'm sure everybody appreciates that, and we're glad that you do feel welcome, because your feedback, your input is much appreciated. That's why the model is designed, you know, to bring in a representative, an appointee from a charter school. If you have ideas that you can share, because usually we all want students to succeed, right? Right.
Yes,
Well,
so I appreciate it. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, best of luck with the retirement.
Thank you. Thanks.
And any other final comments before we close
I just
out?
wanted to say good luck, Melissa. It's been wonderful working
Thanks.
with you. We've been here
You
from
too.
the beginning.
Yep, from the beginning. So yeah, definitely. I appreciate it. Like I said, I've learned a lot, and I have really appreciated this opportunity. And like I said, I don't feel like the elephant in the room anymore. Yeah.
So glad to hear that.
Thank
All right,
you.
last chance.
Best of
Anyone
luck.
else? Thank you. All right, official time is 5:06. We're going to go ahead and close out, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you.